Hi, my name is Brad Emery, and this is my video for Module 5 for Data Assessment and Analysis. This quote I like to start us off: when you know better, you do better. This is by Maya Angelou, and I felt like this really summed up the idea of what we're looking for with continuous improvement and what that means for data in our school. You can't do better unless you know better. And just taking that time to make sure we know our data well enough and we're applying that to our schools, that's what leads to the real continuous improvement. So where are we now as a school? Well, we are St. John Elementary. We're a small rural district that is in a community of about 1,200 people. We rely on a lot of farmers and a lot of farming community, and we have that small town value that is so important. Our population is about 76% white, 22% Hispanic, and the other couple of percent is just kind of here and there and all over the place. We have about 9% of our kids are ELL or English language learners, and 22% of our students are categorized as having disabilities or at least are on an IEP plan. In our school district, we're 51% economically disadvantaged, pardon me, and that really does make a difference in our school, and that just tells you a little bit about who we are. It's more of what is our culture, what is our climate, what's our community, because that really creates the people that we are, and it creates the culture that we live in, and it's what these kids are growing up with and where they're coming from. So it's really important to know as the first step of data collection. So where are we now? How do we do business in our school? We're a warm and we're a welcoming school culture. You can really see those small town values shining through. You can see the community and the close knitness of the students and the teachers. I've been in a few different districts ranging in different sizes from a few thousand students in the district and an elementary school that had more kids than my current district does. And they weren't unfriendly, but I can tell you that St. John is the friendliest and the most welcoming community and school that I've ever been a part of. And I just love it here. This is our 6th year and we can't go wrong. So what does it look like? How are our students doing if we're being honest? Well, we've got a really high graduation rate. We're at 94% right now. And will that ever be 100 if we're being realistic? Probably not. I don't know that that's a realistic goal, although it'd be nice. But there is always room for improvement. Graduation in and of itself isn't enough. We want these kids to be successful. So we need to really break down that data a little more and make sure what are we looking at? What are our measures of success? And in my discussion with my principal about data collection, this really showed up as a common theme. He wanted to go beyond graduation rates and dig into how are we setting our students up for success in the real world. And that's something that I really value that he brought up. Likewise, we have a high attendance rate. We've got a 96% attendance rate, but that 4% is really where we want to see improvement. Those kids that are chronically absent, that can't get here, that aren't here, how can we help them? How can we make sure they're getting the education they need to be successful in school? You can see some of our math scores here. We're pretty average on our math in the grade school. Level 1 being the lowest and really needing improvement. Level 2, they're getting close to where they need to be as far as proficient. Those green and blue bars are levels 3 and 4. That's where we want kids at. And you can see for the past 5 years in our school, we're pretty close to the state levels, which is good. But as with all of this information, there's always room for improvement. You can see the ELA data right here as well, and we're kind of in the same boat as math. We're a little higher scores, pretty average when compared to the state though. So how effective are our processes? This was another area that our principal was honest and said, well, really we just don't have a lot of hard data. We don't sit down and take the time to break down the data and look at what does that mean for our school. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants, for lack of a better term, and that's probably looser than the reality actually is. We do have good data, we use it, but we're not sitting down in collaborative teams to break apart what does it look like for our students. In what ways are we really helping our students grow? In what ways Are we seeing improvement, and drilling down to figure out how can we continue to see improvement and how can we make that even greater gains. So our curriculum, our instruction are all pieces of that puzzle. We use different measures of assessment. Right now we've got Ames Web as well as state assessments, and our data system, new for us this year, is PowerSchool, and we're still trying to get our heads wrapped around that and tie that into everything. So as far as effectiveness of our processes, this is an area we really could stand to have some growth in. So where do we want to be? Address that a little bit on the last slide. We want to make sure our students are getting everything they need. Our goal as a school, our mission, if you will, is purpose, passion, pride. Our purpose for being here is the kids. That's why we're here. We want to see them grow. We want to see them become successful adults and be productive members of society. And we have a passion for those students. We have a passion to teach them well, and we take pride in the work that we do. That's not to say we don't make mistakes, we don't mess up, but we own that when we do. And this is an area where, as we're looking at where do we want to go, we want to ultimately look at what's best for the students. So how did we get to where we are now? Well, again, that small town community really built us and created the school and the culture and the environment that we live in. Our kids are doing well. There's nothing to be upset about with their performance. But that also doesn't mean that we're content to let it sit here. We want to improve, we want to grow, we want these kids to learn and do better than those who came before them. We do have that passion and the pride in always improving our work. So right now we lack really a lot of data disaggregation, and we lack the analysis we need to really see what's working and what isn't. So stepping into where we're going to get, or how are we going to get to where we want to be, we really need to break apart that data. We need to sit down and make time to look at it and say what is working, and draw those concrete examples of this is working, this is not. Let's improve on the things that are working. Let's push back and let go of the things that aren't, no matter how hard that is. What does this look like with implementation? Well, Dr. Bernhardt tells us that looks like an action plan where you set goals, objectives, strategies, and activities to make a actionable plan which will actually take place. One of the things that I thought was really important that she pointed out is you can't just stop with implementation. You need to go back and evaluate, how are you coming on that action plan? How is the implementation rolling out, rather than just implementing and calling it good? We need to take stock multiple times as we're making our way along this path of where we want to be. So is that what we're doing, making a difference? That's really that idea of continuous improvement. That's stepping beyond implementation and looking at how are we going to evaluate our efforts? What is our ongoing evaluation going to look like as we're moving into the future? And right now I can honestly say I'm not sure, but I hope that as we spend some time together, that as we work as a team, that we can come up with a strong plan and a way to not only implement that plan, but to evaluate and change and adapt that plan so it's a fluid process that leads to that continuous improvement in our school. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I hope that you have a great evening.